Hi and welcome to this week's Something for the Weekend. I'm Tony, Sales Manager here at Martin Lynch & Sons. Now before we get started on this week's presentation, just to remind you that on the 9th of December, i.e. this coming Saturday, tomorrow, for those of you watching on Friday, you can catch Martin down at the Winkleigh Wireless Show, which is down in Devon. Further information is on our website regarding that. And guess what? Martin's sponsoring the teas and coffee. So get yourself down there and have a free drink on us. Okay, so let's get on to this week's presentation. Okay, so to begin with, let's talk about UHF and VHF and even the higher frequencies. So, is it going to affect my VHF, UHF operating? Yeah, it is. You would be quite surprised. As the air gets a little bit colder and denser, actually your VHF and UHF signals will travel that a little bit further. And obviously you've got the benefits of maybe catching some late sporadic E as well, which you do get quite a bit of actually in December. And I was quite surprised to find out. I was chatting to a couple of the VHF DXers, and they explained to me that, yep, as the air gets denser, that signal certainly travels further, and you can still work into the continent quite easily. Now, another amazing thing with VHF as well and UHF is Aurora. So I was very lucky to spot the Aurora last week from the home QTH. Got a few pictures of that. And if you've never heard of Aurora, or I always struggle to say it, but if you've never heard it on the radio, it's amazing when you operate. So everyone points their beams up towards it, and then you get a big cacophony of signals coming across, and it's the most evil sounding, raspberry sounding contacts that you're probably ever going to have. I'm going to see if we can find a little sample and maybe just insert it in for you. I'm sure there'll be some around, but it's really, really interesting. Great for SSB and also great for CW ops as well. So VHF, UHF, definitely worth trying in the winter. And if you're one of those brave souls that likes to do a bit of SOTA, then get yourselves up onto a hill and give it a go. Pop on a bit of FM, do a bit of FM DXing, and if you're on CW, why not put a bit of CW out on VHF? We've got a big old band there, so let's get using it. Anyway, going to move over to the 7610 now and talk about some of the bands on HF and what changes you can expect during the winter months on each band. So over to 10 meters or 28 megs as we know it. And how does that sort of work? Well, basically it's going to be open to sporadic E. Now I've always found that during December there's always a good little run up, maybe the week before Christmas basically, is you get a little peak in sporadic E and there's some amazing DX on. Now we're coming up to around about about 3:45 now actually, due to all the failed starts of the video as usual, you know what I'm like. But yeah, around about 3:45, so it's an ideal time in the winter because the way the propagation changes, and as I said, as the nights draw in, the ionosphere changes as well about this time, and it's great for grey line working, etc. on the lower bands, but it also does a bit of magic on 10 meters as well. So we're going to have a little scoot through on 10 meters and see if we can get any signals now. A lot of you just say, oh, it's a summer band, etc. But you'll be surprised, especially as the sunspot changes. So let's have a listen. So as per usual, we're doing it live and on the fly. So if we don't get any signals, we'll try again. Okay, I'm going to bring a bit of preamp in. No. So it does seem fairly quiet at the moment. There was literally 15 minutes ago when I started, there was actually a station from the States coming through on 10. A little bit weak, but it was there. Now I'm always surprised as well with 10 meters, as I've mentioned before, because if you sort of go down to 11 meters, for example, you'll find that the bands are always busy. And over the last week, there's been a lot of intercontinental working of stations, and yeah, it's very strange that on 10, as amateurs, we don't really use the band that much. So, if you get a chance, pop on there. So, not much seen or heard on SSB. So, I'm going to scoot down to the to the CW section. See if we can pick anything up there. Drop the preamp out again. select CW, bring in the RF gain. So not much at all on 10 meters at the moment. As I said, we can always pop back. Luckily, you know, we're in the store for a few more hours, and as I said, as that grey line comes in and as conditions change, you'll see the bands changing. And it's slightly different to how they operate in summer. Okay, so let's change from 10 now. Obviously 15 is going to be roughly about the same as well, and 12 meters you'll find it's the same kind of propagation on both of those bands. So I'm going to drop down now to 17 meters. We'll have a quick look at 17 meters and see how that's performing. So what have we gathered so far? So far we've gathered that there wasn't much on 10 meters. There wasn't much on 15 really, a bit of FT8. Let's see what we've got on 17. As I said, though, don't be fooled by 10 meters though and 15, because come the early evening, from about 5, 6 o'clock onwards, always worth checking again. Always worth checking again. So let's see what we've got on 18. I always like to go a little bit over on the bands as well, just in case. You never know what you might find. Okay, so nothing on 18. Now 20, everyone's favourite band, as they say. Oh, let's go through to there and see what we've got. So no preamp on at the moment. What you'll find is, supposedly during the winter months, is that the bands are actually less noisy. Now, that's what the scientists say. I've never found that myself. I've often found that you often get quite a bit of static actually during the winter months, but who am I to question those that know? So let's try 20 and see if we've got any sideband activity. Here we go. Okay.
Thank you very much for TSL. Congratulations for you.
I'm going to adjust the RF gain there. Okay, so as I say, coming up to sort of 4 o'clock-ish, it is starting to get dark now outside here in the UK, and we've got Echo Alpha 3 stations, so I think around about the middle of Spain, Echo Alpha 3. Not the strongest of signals. Band sounds very noisy. So we can adjust some filters. Okay, I think he's working a Italian station by the sounds of it, but let's move on so we can find someone a little bit stronger. Here we go. As I said, we're not running any preamps at the moment, but as I said, the band is very, very noisy. This is basically, we're operating on a end-fed wire at the moment. So I decided not to opt for the beams to give you more of a, well, for those of you with just a simple antenna system, just so you can kind of see what goes on. And as you saw, there's quite a bit of static jumping up there as well.
Thank you very much for the QSO, and nice to meet you on the band. 73's Happy New Year. Goodbye, Orlando. Thank you.
Okay, so it sounds as... Okay, so Sugar 51DX, I think everyone must have worked S51DX before. So again, he's normally an absolute cracking signal to us, always, you know, 5.9 plus 40, etc. So even with him, he's struggling a bit. And that's the question that we get asked quite often, actually. I'm just going to turn that down, is when it comes to the winter months, and especially as we're going to be looking at the lower bands in a few moments, is how much power do I need to run? You know, I'm only a foundation license holder, I've got 10 watts, etc. You know, what am I going to do? You know, I'm intermediate, I've got 50 watts, I'm going to struggle. You know, it's so noisy when it comes to the winter, etc. on the bands. Now, not really. So bear in mind, your 10 watts, your 50 watts, etc. If you go away from SSB, and whether you're running, you know, digital modes, FT8 mouse, you know, I must say it, but FT8 is very efficient at the end of the day. But, you know, even CW. I was looking at some logs earlier from quite a few years ago, and the amount of CW DX that was available was phenomenal, and the pileups were a lot less, and it's more efficient. So try and stray away, you know, put another, you know, another thing into your armory basically when it comes to operating. And even if you learn just your call sign, just your 599, etc., you can make contacts on CW, and it's a great way of operating in the winter, definitely. And again, if you're doing the early morning stints or the late night stints, because that's when the DX is really going to be about, then do CW, you know, pop a pair of headphones on, you're only tippy tapping at the end of the day, and the rest of the household, they can't hear you doing it. So it's a great mode to operate, and I will keep pushing it, and I must get better myself. So let's, as I said, 20 meters, let's get back to that now, see if we can hear any DX. Oh, here we go, he's come up a bit now.
For QSO, a new band for us, 2 bands now, and yeah, maybe we will get 10 meters QSO also in
so I think he's working DX here, so.
often up there, but not the best conditions, at least not for today. John, I appreciate it. 73 to West, and many DXs to you. Thank you from Slovenia. Season greetings. 5959. Great signal, no problem to get you.
Okay, unfortunately we can't hear the DX.
For 5110 Mark X-ray.
Okay, let's move along a bit and see if we can find our own DX. Now it's interesting to hear that the S51 station was struggling as well with the band, so it's not just us today. Okay, so we've got some stations here. Okay, sounds like we've got Spanish speaking maybe. Hopefully we'll get a call sign in a moment. Okay, so we've got an Echo Alpha 7 station, so down in the south of Spain. So conditions, you know, pretty good going down towards the south of Spain, probably heading towards Africa as well at the moment. And you know, fingers crossed we'll get to start working some of that grey line. Even on 20, you can pick up a bit of grey line operating. So SSB we know is fine on 20 meters. As I said, a bit noisy, but it's kind of spread out across the globe. So we've got a good chance of maybe working some DX a bit later. Right, let's try a little bit of CW just in case there's anything exciting. So pop that down to there. Just open the filter up a bit. Now, for those of you that watch on a regular basis, you'll know I'm going to struggle with that, because I'm very good when they're calling CQ, but when they're in a bit of a rag chew, I always struggle. So hopefully we can pick up a call sign at some point. Let's move along a bit, just in case there is one calling CQ. Okay, so as usual we catch the end of a QSO. Got a lot of question marks flying through there. Now, as you can see, as I was mentioning with CW being very, very efficient, if you've never been down there and you've been licensed for a while, you know, these signals are absolutely superb, 5.9 plus all the way through. Right, I'm going to leave that there because we know that CW is working anyway on 20, and I want to get down to the lower bands anyway, because when it comes to winter operating, that's where you're going to find the exciting stuff basically. So we're going to drop down to 40 meters, which is very, very popular band, as you know, especially here in the UK. Now, just going to make sure we're off frequency a bit before I do this. Just want to give it a little tune. There we go. Okay, so 40 meters, what can you expect on 40 meters? Well, as I said, key factor on 40 meters is going to be that grey line operating. Now, if you've never seen the grey line, how it works, etc., take a look at a geochron. Amazing bit of kit for monitoring the grey line and where and whereabouts you may be able to work. So basically your signal can go along, and you've probably seen it before, daylight and nighttime, and you get the nice graph that goes like that. And basically you can connect to, and your signal will travel along that grey line. So you may find that where you can't normally work, say South Africa at one point, that you can all of a sudden because it's travelling down that grey line and it's coming up to the UK. So 40 meters is great for that. 80 meters is great for grey line operating, top band as well, especially. And I know you're going to say, oh, but these are lower bands, I'm going to struggle for an antenna, etc. All the antennas are huge. Keep it simple. So look at maybe putting up even a resonant dipole. So for 40 meters, it's not going to be too large, 33 feet or so. And then, oh, that's obviously each leg. And basically, you can then do an inverted V. So if you think about it, you could maybe run a 10-meter telescopic pole, one of the DX commander poles, for example, and then do an inverted V. And then all of a sudden, you don't need as much real estate to get yourself on the band. It's a resonant antenna, so your signal is going to go out a lot further. There's no worry about matching devices, etc. And that's a good way of doing it. And exactly the same for 80. Or you could just use a 40-meter dipole, maybe even add some coils to it. You know, wind them yourselves, it's not hard to do. So, but that will get you onto the magic of the winter bands, 40, 80 and top band, for example. So let's have a little listen. You know how 40 meters normally operates during the summer, a lot of inter-G, etc. Around about 5 o'clock at night, normally in the summer, you start getting into Europe and on from there, and in the mornings, obviously, a bit of the X. So let's just see how it is now. It's just gone 4 o'clock, so let's have a quick look and listen. Might help if I use the right knob. That's the beauty of this, actually. It is dual receive, but I keep forgetting it's not got 2 VFO knobs, so bear me a sec. So let's see what we've got.
Conversation, but no, you're absolutely flying, and I'm not going to keep it long, because just as I keyed up, I did hear a little voice in the background, so there may well be others wishing to.
So before the comments come, I'm obviously using the RF gain here. We've got no preamp on because it's 40 meters, and obviously it's quite noisy at this time of night or afternoon, hence why we've got no signal showing on here. But if I bring it up, it's a lovely 5.9 plus signal.
And I'm inferring it down into Central Europe. Not quite in your direction. I would say more likely down toward Austria, Slovenia, possibly the southeastern part of Germany, but
okay.
It's certainly an extremely loud signal. And
he's not going to keep it long, so hopefully we'll get the other call sign in.
I think you're right. I was listening to Stuart's audio, and he sounds good on both radios, so I think, you know, big new modern radios, there's not a lot in it really.
As I said, he's not going to keep it long.
I've had it now 22, is it? 23 year, I think, so it's getting a little bit long in the tooth, but it works, and it does these days, you know. It's got good audio, and I've never had any problem with it.
It does actually sound quite nice, but as I said, he's not going to keep it long, so hopefully we'll hear the other station soon.
I think we'll be okay, but no, not been in work yesterday or today, but I'm in again tomorrow, Bernie. Papa America 1, Lima Echo Golf in Rotterdam. Here in Mexico, Yankee Sierra Bravo. Back to microphone, back over to you.
I'm getting an awful lot of noise in this frequency. I think my neighbours either put the put a microwave on or something. Can you hear me okay, over?
Yes, you are 5 and 9 plus 10. 59 plus 10, but the QRM level is right.
Okay, so it's quite interesting. If that is the Papa Alpha station that just came across there, that's beautiful. So it seems as if during the winter months the band does change on 40 and we're getting that sort of European contacts come up a lot earlier in the day than what we normally would. And it's quite steady. It's actually quite steady.
If you're around tomorrow evening, give me a call if you hear me. I will be around and I will be on a little earlier.
Okay, so we're going to move along a little bit and see if there's anything else of interest that we can find, and maybe a nice pile up.
Location is Croydon. The call is Golf 8, Mike, November, Yankee, over.
Yes, okay, John, no problem at all. The personal name here is Peter, John. Like Papa Echo, Tango Echo Romeo. And my call sign is Papa Delta, number 2, Papa Kilo.
There we go. So yeah, so lovely propagation by the sounds of it into Papa Alpha. And they are very, very steady. So that's a nice thing to see, that, you know, if you do manage to get home early or if you're not working, etc., that you can have some lovely QSOs into Europe now, early in the afternoon. Right, I'm going to have a quick look through. Now, as per usual with any of these sort of modern radios, it's nice to have a little look on the scope and see if you can see any sort of pile-ups, anyone working split. Okay, so yeah. Okay, we're going to leave it there for now, because obviously I can go up and down the band all day long on 40, and it's really, really busy, which is great to see. Now, when it comes to the DX side of it, what sort of time do you want to be going on to work the DX? Now, as I said, with the grey line, etc., as it starts getting dark, just try your luck basically and go on from there. Work into sort of, I'll normally find around about 11 o'clock at night. 12 o'clock is a perfect time as well for catching some real DX, and early mornings as well. So again, if you want to look sort of more towards the east, then I always suggest go on early in the morning, see what you can work, even if it's, you know, if you're up before work and you can pop on at 6 o'clock in the morning, perfect time for operating on 40 meters. And you'll find that the band is actually quite quiet at that time, so you'll be surprised at what you work. But as I said, antenna wise, keep it simple, get an antenna up for that. Simple dipole, go for a vertical, etc. You don't need, you know, an acre's worth of land to get an antenna up on the lower bands. So 80 meters, quick flick to 80 meters. I'm not going to hang around here too much, because I'll be honest with you, the MFED wire is a little bit short for 80. So we'll see if there's anything we can find, as I said, about 4 o'clock. Let's see what we can do. Now, 80 is a huge band, so no excuse not to have fun on 80. A little okay, I don't think we're going to get anything here, so a bit of preamp just in case. So no, 80 we're going to struggle with. Now, I'll lay money on it. Yeah, I'll lay money on it. When it comes to 80 meters, give it maybe an hour or so, or a couple of hours, then there'll be a lot more signals on 80 meters. So again, it's a strange way of doing it, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of amateurs out there. And if you can, leave comments in the notes. If you've been using the low bands a lot more than me, then let me know and say, look, Tony, this is wrong and this is what you actually want to do. But on 80 meters, I find on top band, again, the later the better. So you'll find a lot more signals the later it is in the evening, and the band sort of stabilizes a little bit as well. So top band, I've got an antenna here for top band, as probably most of you are the same. Now, how can you get onto top band? Maybe look at doing a loop, for example. You know, it is possible, and I spoke to an amateur the other day who basically runs a horizontal loop of wire, feeds it from the corner, and that works an absolute treat for them on top band. That would be my kind of suggestion, really, is try and do it that way, and maybe just even if random wire, but obviously bear in mind noise. And again, with the low bands, if you're running low power, a good earthing system. Definitely have a good earthing system. But as I said, I'm not really here to go into full details of the technical side. There's many amateurs on YouTube that can fill that gap for you and explain to you, you know, the most efficient antennas, etc. to use. So, going to kind of leave it there, really, but just hope it gave you a little bit of an insight into operating in the winter and makes things a little bit easier for you if it's the first winter that you're operating, basically, if you've just been licensed this year. But it can be fun, and as I said, try all the bands, VHF, UHF, you know, look for that Aurora, you know, do a bit of sporadic if you can, get onto 10 meters, you know, surprise yourself on 10 meters, because it's a great time for 10 meters at the moment. And 40 and 80, definitely try and work some DX this year. It is the great time, and get onto CW, because you're going to find a lot of DX stations on 40 and 80 on CW. I speak to a lot of our older customers that we have, and they say that, you know, if you want to work the real DX, get yourself onto 40 and 80 during the winter months and get on the key. Anyway, we're going to leave it there, and if you've got any comments you can leave for me, please pop it down below, because it will help other people as well in the hobby. And yeah, we all want to learn. It's the nature of the hobby. Anyway, take care and see you soon. Bye-bye.